Welcome to FinTech Chatter News, presented by Tier 1 People, leaders in FinTech executive search. Follow us on your favorite podcast player or FinTech Chatter TV on YouTube. Welcome to FinTech Chatter News on 30th of August 2022. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Dexter. In today's show, I'm joined by Caroline Tran, CEO and founder of Hello Clever, to share a few moments and chat about their 4.5 million seed raise.
We also have Ali Paterson of FinTech Finance to give us a rundown of what's happening in the UK.
Well, there's been lots of positive financial results in the last few days. First of all, congrats to Rail Ross and the team at Button. They hit 274 million in originations in financial year 22 and over 1 billion since launching, capping off a successful year since their 2021 IPO.
Wiser's latest results project that they will be profitable in 12 months despite the challenging market conditions. Originations for 2022 were at 611 million. And since launching in 2017, they've written 1.2 billion in loans and had 24 consecutive quarters of loan origination growth.
And Prosper announced strong 2022 financial results. Originations increased 52% this year to 732 million, and revenue increased 51% to 178 million. Well, I'm now joined by the co-founder of Hello Clever, Caroline Tran. Caroline, welcome to your FinTech Chatter debut.
Thanks so much for having me, Dexter. Great to be here.
It's awesome to have you, particularly because you've got such positive news to share. Do you want to kind of tell our listeners a little bit about what happened last week?
Yeah, for sure. So last week we announced our 4.5 million seed raise from leading investors from San Francisco and APAC, which is really fantastic for us because during this time of the economic downturn, we'll be able to deliver and also close around at a great times. I mean, it's good to be able to spread the news.
Awesome. Now we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail a little bit later. But before we do that, for those who aren't aware of Hello Clever, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and the big problem that you solve?
Yeah, for sure. So Hello Clever is an ecosystem itself where we really wanted to create a platform for young generations to manage, spend, pay, and earn with Hello Clever via our buy to earn, which is a new category what we define around instant rewards. And obviously the problem we are solving is simple, right? Millennials and Gen Z are really financially really not focused a lot into managing their money, and that's what we really wanted to solve and help them to have a better behaviors in terms of financial education. So that's, yeah.
Now, I want to kind of talk to you about this because traditionally this category, particularly the kind of PFM space, has struggled. Pocketbook, the OG, closed down recently. I know you've got Bosco on board, who's good friend of the show, one of the smartest dudes that I know. What is it that Hello Clever is going to be doing differently that's going to be taking this kind of to the next level?
Yeah, I reckon the traditional BFM is just really about a single product, evolving around telling you about your income or expenses. And that's also obviously a great product for young people, but it has to be around building an ecosystem rather than just a single platform itself. That's why Hello Clever is looking into build out an ecosystem from manage money with Clever, and then you ultimately spend with the merchants that we obviously get on board and save and earn with us via our instant rewards. Because as you probably know, what we're trying to do is to really build a embedded payment platform into this as well, to really educate the market around if you have money today and spend on things that you can afford, you should get instant rewards for that. So we're not really just a personal financial platform. We are an ecosystem of buy to earn, and that's why it's really important to really tell and educate the market about what we're doing, and about the ecosystem that we are building. Having Bosco on our journey is really, really important because he's been around and doing the same thing for, I think, the past 10 years, and really important to really get his insights and also how to scale the platform from obviously 0 to 1. So we're really fortunate to have Bosco on board.
Awesome. Now, you and I kind of first got introduced to each other a few months ago, and we were chatting at an industry dinner, and I was kind of quietly blown away by some of the traction that you've been getting really early doors. What are some of the successes that you've had so far?
Yeah, so I think we're really lucky to be able to sort of build a brand that we tell to the younger audiences. It's simple. It starts from being clever with your money, right? And the message is really clear, and that's how we really attract. And I think it's also about the tone of voice that we deliver, and also about a message that we really wanted to empower them. And that's how we sort of build a trust from our audiences, and therefore leading to the fact that we get that sort of traction that we get from today. So we've got thousands of users that using our platform every day. We've got hundreds of merchants that onboarding with our buy to earn ecosystem, which is fantastic because we are here ultimately to really build out a better ecosystem for everyone and create a win-win situation for merchants and the consumers. So it's if I have to say the success it has to come from the message and the brand that you build and how you communicate to your end users. And just be honest about what you do, right? So yeah, that's sort of a key strategy that we're trying to do here at Hello Clever.
Cool. Now, you mentioned this early on. It is a really tough market out there. It's very difficult to raise, although not impossible. So what was it that investors saw in you and your co-founder that kind of prompted them to get behind Hello Clever, particularly at this time where there's a lot of uncertainty?
For sure. It's really challenging market out there at the moment. So I think one of the reasons that our lead investors sees in Hello Clever is there is, given the fact that there is a macro shift away from buy now, pay later products. And what we're trying to do here is to really create an alternative way that deliver the same values to the merchants and even better values to the consumers. And that's why, obviously, we're different to the rest of the products in the market. And also the fact that we be able to deliver the first real-time payment transaction being paid to in Australia from a use case perspective, which is really important. And also, we're a bunch of obviously millennials trying to solve the problems that we are facing ourselves, right? And who could be able to understand this better than ourselves. So,
well, certainly not a middle-aged white guy.
I mean, I have the problem. I have the problem of like money management, and that's why I'm going out and building this. So, I pretty much about, really solve your own problems and help other people to, in the same situation like you, to solve the problem for them as well. It's just the execution part that we trying to deliver, and obviously the brand that we build, that the investors see in Hello Clever.
Who were some of the other investors that came on board, Caroline?
Yeah, so we've got a really great set of investors from obviously local and also international. So our lead investors is Factor Ventures, which is $100 million fund based in San Francisco and Hong Kong. Also Singaporean funds such as Cross Fund, and Suntech, and we also have a fund locally, which is Paterson Ventures, and a fund based in Europe, YOLO Investments, which is really great to see the international
Absolutely.
investors that see the potential in the Australian market, and because that's what it's all about, right? Because we're utilizing this funding to invest into the Australian market, and that's really great to see the international support.
Cool. And what are the growth plans for Hello Clever this next 12 months?
For sure. So we're focusing a lot on the Australian market now that we've got real-time payment solutions built out with a set of merchants. And obviously the plan is all about growing users, growing partnerships, and growing the team as well. So at the moment, we've got about 16 team members in Hello Clever, and we really wanted to invest more into local talents and build out the network here. Which is really exciting for us.
Absolutely.
In the next 12
and
months.
at a time where we hear of redundancies, it's great to be able to share, those businesses that are hiring. We get a lot of fantastic talent listening to this show, yourself included. If there's anybody listening out there, what types of roles and people are you looking to bring on board over this next 12 months?
Yeah, definitely we'll be into growth, marketing and tech talent. Because as we're looking into growing our product and network of merchants, so we really need help in terms of building out more and more messaging to the consumers and to the merchants. So we always looking for growth talents in Australia, and a part of that is also like product talents to really help us build the next generations of payment and rewards, and just being part of the Clever Group and give clever ideas. That's our vision and mission.
Awesome. Now, where can people get in touch if they're interested in finding out more about jobs at Clever?
So on our website, we do have a careers page where we list out, all of the available roles. Otherwise, you can get in touch with us at careers@helloclever.co.
Cool.
To find out.
Cool. And where can people download the app?
Oh, it's available on app stores on iOS and Android. You can download it anytime.
Awesome. Well, Caroline, great to have you on. Congrats with the raise. Really excited about this next 12 months. And look, it'd be great to get you back on the show at some point. You can tell us about your progress and some of the successes you're having.
Thank you so much for having me, Dexter, and thanks for everyone for listening.
Peppermint Innovation have signed a 5-year deal with Visa to expand globally. It gives Visa exclusive rights to provide Peppermint cards in Australia, Singapore, and the Philippines. Superfierce has smashed its target to save its customers $100 million in fees in just 5 months. A big congrats to Tran and the team for hitting a total of $116 million. A clear signal there is a market for unbiased, affordable financial advice.
Afterpay and Westpac are dissolving their money app. It appeared the pioneering partnership was doomed once Afterpay was acquired by Block, as they get close to launching the Square Cash app in Australia. Kudos to the Westpac Banking as a Service team for giving everything and pushing the boundaries on what was a groundbreaking fintech partnership. Well, it's almost that time of year when the international fintech calendar goes absolutely crazy and piles on the events. Cybos Amsterdam and Money 2020 Vegas are only 6 weeks away.
Closer to home, next week marks the return of Intersect. 2021 was a huge success, and we expect 2022 to be another great year for Australia's premier fintech gathering. The event takes place on Wednesday the 7th and Thursday the 8th of September. Last year, over 600 people attended, making it the biggest and the best fintech event in Australia yet.
I'll be there for the 2 days and look forward to connecting with you all. If you plan on being there, make sure to say hi. If you can't make it, don't worry, as I'll be taking the recording gear and chatting to everyone to bring you a special show. As part of Intersect, our friends at UK Department of International Trade have organised a UK FinTech delegation as part of the UK Oz Fintech Bridge programme.
11 organisations in total will represent the UK and Australia next week. There's a number of events planned, including a networking drinks evening on Monday the 5th of September in Sydney. Then they fly to Melbourne for 2 days of Intersect and a special pitch event.
I'll be there Monday to chat to all of the UK delegation, including Currency Cloud, who is celebrating their launch in Australia. We'll be featuring that in next week's news show. And continuing our UK focus, I'm joined now by Ali Paterson, Editor-in-Chief of Fintech Finance. It is the only place to go for international fintech news. Ali, great to have you with us.
Dexter, thank you very much for having me on. It's a bit of an honour to be here. It's I actually applied for a job at Tier 1 People way back when. I don't know if you looked at my application.
I did, yes. I remember that resume well. It said, "We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You won't get this from any other guy."
Full disclosure, it was the lyrics to Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up," which I will bring up later on in the show for good reason. But your response was, "Thank you so much for applying. Unfortunately, we only hire Tier 1 people, but we recommend you apply to our sister organisation, Tier 2 People."
Well, mate, as the kids would say to me, I was rickrolled. But mate, it is great to have you with us. Look, I mean, I've followed you for donkey's years, and you know, it's been one of the place that I've gone to for fintech news. But can you tell our listeners a little bit about Fintech Finance and what you guys do?
Absolutely, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you very much for saying that. I'll be very honest, B2B media can be incredibly dry. Our plan is to, and we don't always hit the mark, but we always go for a big swing, is to try and make B2B news a bit more interesting, a bit more exciting, a bit more consumable. So we produce a bunch of printed and digital magazines, online news, and we're probably most known for our videos, whether it be nice little interviews. We've got a few twists on interviews coming out at the moment, and of course we've done a few bizarre things like sending people in a race around the world using only Bitcoin or gold, or a rap battle between the founders of Monzo and Starling. We try and make fintech and fintech news a bit more fun, a bit more consumable, but also pretty relevant and contextual. Basically, I get to spend my time traveling around the world speaking to some of the most interesting people in the fintech and finance space. What I love ending up in what I call record scratch moments, where there's that sort of record scratch look at the camera. Hang on a second, how have I got here? I've got absolutely no right to be, sat here interviewing Justin Trudeau or Will.i.am or Frank Abagnale or whoever, but somehow we've ended up in this situation here. This is kind of wild, isn't it?
Now, I did bring you on to talk about news and specifically things that are happening in the UK scene. What are some of the big headlines that you've been covering this month on Fintech Finance?
Right, I'm glad you asked. I've got a few links here of some of our most viewed content. First of all, and this is it's just one of those. This is a silly story, but I quite like it. CSAA Insurance Group have partnered with the one and only Rick Astley as a promotional campaign. And this was our most viewed story in North America, which it's a silly story. It's kind of funny, but yeah, nice little link back.
So what's Rick doing with the insurance company then?
It's kind of funny. It's for the first time in 35 years, Astley and the insurance provider CSAA Group, they've released a new version of the 1987 classic "Never Gonna Give You Up." The idea is that it's insurance with three A's. Is the insurance that is never gonna give you up. It's a fun story, but it's just one of those things that can you imagine when at the peak of Rick Astley meme culture, that an insurance provider would want to go and actually partner with him. And then here we are in 2022, and he's now kind of at the forefront of this massive ad campaign in the States.
Right. Well, I've got to say, right, that's probably a really shit story, but I'm sure you got something better for us.
No, I do have a good one. This is actually our most viewed story on LinkedIn from the last 2 weeks, and it's quite a. We get sent a lot of press releases, and a lot of the press releases are things like, we've hired this person in this role here, and we go, yeah, fantastic, that's great news. Unless it's really juicy, we don't often bother. But this one about Flutterwave. Flutterwave is one of my favourite fintechs. Looking forward to seeing them speak at Fintech Islands in October. But it's just an announcement that, yes, they've hired a new chief people and culture officer, but they've also increased the size of their staff by 200 people.
Wow.
Which, against this backdrop, everywhere you look, it's like, yes, heading to a recession, blah, blah, blah. Yes, there may be cuts. It's still quite exciting. And fintech as an industry, there are still massive opportunities to jump aboard what, frankly, Flutterwave, I think, has got absolute rocket ship potential.
So what do they do?
But they're actually focused on the African markets. The big payments technology company there, and the idea is to allow Nigerians particularly Nigeria, to be able to kind of make payments from one person to another, but also focus on cross-border and international payments. And they're having a real focus on young talent. They've got like a big graduate training program.
Oh, brilliant.
A lot of we'll get into this, but I feel a lot of fintechs are very much focused on raising money, and that's where revenue comes from. These guys at Flutterwave, it does seem these are not vanity numbers to be like, look how much we're valued because we've got so many people working for us. These are people they're bringing in to actually further the company forward, to actually kind of push revenue forward, because it is kind of the sort of graduate people that they want to bring in and make them Flutterwavians. I always need to double check what the kind of plural of people that work there is, but it does seem that it is about getting people there to actually make a difference within the company and focus on revenue as opposed to pump up the valuation.
Fantastic. What's the how would you summarize the current climate for fintech in the UK, Ali?
I was chatting about this with my chief content officer, Doug, about 20 minutes ago. And it's very tricky because there's sort of two elements to it. Part one, you've got the consumer stuff. You've got all of these neobanks. And we were saying that in the UK, my gran is aware of the likes of Monzo and there we are, Starling Bank, just holding up a coffee cup with a bit of branding on there.
Yeah, my mum just sent the kids money for ice cream via Revolut about 30 minutes ago.
Revolut, by the way, that they've been lot of traction from our end, just in terms of sheer views, because obviously they've rebranded their child account as under 18, as Revolut under 18, and they've also they must have spent an absolute fortune on them. They've partnered with the Sidemen, and you can get a Revolut Sidemen card. So they're definitely looking at the younger market there. But to come back to your point, on the on the business to consumer side, fintech is very much in the public eye. Like, it used to be a case of what is Monzo, and now it is very much, oh yeah, I'm aware of that. Yes, I'm aware of that. In the same way that back in the day, people weren't aware of Netflix, and now it's almost the default. So I think Australia is not that far off, but in the UK, it's still borderline. We're getting there where it's almost a default, where there is that default choice of, hey, actually, of course, I've got a Monzo account. Yeah, of course, I'd be able to send, there's a Square reader there. Absolutely fine. There's that element. Other side of it is the B2B side of things, and that's kind of less very much in the consumer eye. This is where I'm going to have a little rant. Again, too much focus on trying to raise money as opposed to on revenue. And there's still too much trying to build a company, and the customer is someone who's going to acquire the company and plug it into whatever they're doing as a value add. There's too much of that. I mean, that you could say that about multiple industries and multiple things, but I think in the UK, Or the UK and Europe, there's a few out there that I go, I can see what the long-term goal of this is. You get acquired as opposed to you focus on revenue and make yourself a bit of a sustainable business.
Yeah, it's super interesting that, Ali, because, we've obviously had, it's been fairly well documented, some of the successes and failures that we've had on the neobanking side of things. I think if you were going to talk about household names, certainly, Zip and Afterpay, have got that, you're now talking about, I'm going to Afterpay it, right? I'm not going to use my credit card, I'll Afterpay it. So they've definitely, kind of raised, the awareness from that side. That B2B piece is really interesting because, to my mind, that's always been where the opportunity has been in Australia and continues to be. But what we've seen more recently have been, early stage fintechs who started off in the B2C space and have pivoted to B2B or B2B2C and kind of built a white label platform that then they can plug in and start to then work with banks and larger financial institutions. And they've done it really in a kind of bootstrap manner where they haven't raised a lot of capital. And it's really been about how do we get traction? How do we, start to get paying clients? So it's super interesting to kind of hear what's happening in the UK. Let's now do something else. So Ali, wanted to chat to you about capital raising in the UK. How's the market looking at the minute? Has there been any notable raises recently?
I've actually got a big list of all of the fundraising across that we've been covering over the last couple of weeks. There's no usually with this, there's something massive like like a good Klarna story. Klarna raises X amount to either be worth 50 billion or 5 billion. There's no kind of big ones like that recently. There's lots of little sort of Series A's, Series B's. Penfold, for example, in the UK, big fan of those guys. Bankify as well. What there is a lot of, and we've been covering this as well, compared to actual Series A, Series B fundraising, there's a lot of debt facilities being announced. Just to throw sort of a few there. Tabby recently $150 million credit facility. Orcs Money in Europe, 500 million euros. Capital on Tap recently announced a 200 funding facility. Funding Societies, 50 million credit facility with HSBC. Muse recently raised 20 million in a debt facility. Just anecdotally, I don't have enough absolute data to put my life on the line for this, but anecdotally, a lot more focus on debt raising and access to credit as opposed to actually giving up equity, which I'm hoping to tie into that sort of scrappiness of being able to kind of still do what you want. I'm hoping that's a sign of that as opposed to something more sinister.
Awesome. Now, we've got a UK delegation coming out for Intersect in a couple of weeks. Some really interesting companies there. I'm sure, Currency Cloud, Clearbank, most people will know of. There's a few others that we've got like QV Systems, Monevo, Featurespace, Smart Pension. They all seem to be kind of, I think, a little bit kind of earlier on in their journey. What's the, overall, like what do you think is the attraction for Australia for early stage fintechs in the UK?
When I think of fintech in Australia, when I think of the companies out there, the first two that come to mind, I realise actually Brits moving out to Australia. Three including yourself. Obviously, you got Kate.
Yeah, Ryan.
Everything that Ryan had learned in the UK, he's applied to Australia, and that's quite exciting. Similarly, you got Anthony Thompson as well with 86400. I'm not as familiar with the B2B side of fintech in Australia because it just gets...
Mate, it flies under the radar, right? Like that's the whole
flies
thing,
under the radar.
It's interesting. It's where most of the innovation happens as well, which is kind of the cool thing.
I've been following Sandstone's story as well, because their technology, particularly how they partner with the likes of Temenos is a good example. Yeah. The way that they're able to partner, I think, is quite a clever setup. And obviously, they focus on some fantastic customer experience focused technologies. But then the B2C side, I always think of places like Australia as an opportunity where you can actually do what people are doing in the UK, but do it a little bit faster, and kind of that timeline is a little bit compressed. Again, the likes of Cape and 86400. I can't think in the UK of any big exits on the same scale as 86400. Yet, watch this space.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was remarkable, right? It went from nothing to 300 million sale in 3 years. Got a banking license. Was selling mortgages within the first 12 months. It was pretty remarkable what they achieved, and it was a team of less than 100 people.
Yeah, never underestimate Mr. Rat.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, how can people follow and subscribe to FinTech Finance?
Oh, definitely go to our LinkedIn page. Best way to find it is literally type in FF, and it should be the first thing that appears. If you're in the fintech space, it should be the first thing that appears. Hit that subscribe button on there, and we'll start to kind of populate your feed a little bit with some stories. We go live a lot on LinkedIn, so you'll also get a lot of notifications from us saying, "Hey, we're live now," so you can tune in. Hopefully, we there was a period during the pandemic we were going live like 8 times a week. We're not it's probably a bit annoying with all the constant notifications, but go to our LinkedIn, type in FF, and then FF News FinTech Finance will pop up. Hit that follow button. That's the best way.
There's some great content on YouTube as well.
Oh yeah, and that you then obviously link. Yeah, follow us on YouTube. Our website is ffnews.com. We are having a bit of a rebrand, which will probably be about a week after this goes out. So you'll see a bunch of new things on there. But absolutely, subscribe. I want to get my figures up. So please, if you're in Tuvalu, please subscribe. I haven't got a single subscriber from Tuvalu. So if please subscribe.
Well, mate, I don't know about Tuvalu, but we did hit number 1 on the Papua New Guinea podcast chart.
Oh, amazing.
So you never know. Awesome. Well, Ali, it's been awesome to chat with you. Thanks for joining me, and look forward to catching up next month.
Amazing. Cheers, Dexter.
Stephen Doyle has been appointed the new head of distribution at Bridget, and Scott Eddington has joined Spriggy as their new Chief Commercial Officer. Scott joins from World Remit. If you have any news or feedback you want to share, email me, Joanne at tier1people.com.
And if you're new to the show, make sure to follow us and leave a review. And if you're coming back, thanks so much for your support. It really does help us in elevating the Australian fintech community to a global audience. Until the next episode, stay safe. FinTech Chatter News is presented by Tier 1 People, leaders in fintech executive search. We help build world-class fintech ventures by connecting you with world-class talent. And you can find out more tier1people.com.